Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, factormeals.com, where if you go to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormeals.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. You're listening to the Think Broken podcast, where our mission is to give you the tools to heal, overcome the past, get unstuck, and become the hero of your own story. I'm your host, Michael Unbroken, author, speaker, coach, and advocate for adult survivors of childhood trauma. It's our mission to end generational trauma in our lifetime through education and information. Thank you so much for being here, being a member of the Unbroken Nation, and learning how to become unbroken. Please do me a favor. It would mean the world to me if you take 30 seconds, leave a review for the show on iTunes so that other people can find this information, and check out our YouTube channel if you just search Think Unbroken. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the show. Hey, what's up, Broken Nation? Hope that you're doing well. Coming to you again live from the living room floor. Just gonna blast out a couple episodes here with you today. Anyway, I was just finishing up a yoga session on YouTube. Shout out to my homie Cole Chance. If you're on YouTube, check out Cole Chance Yoga. Also, while you're on there, check out Think Broken Podcast, because that's where I spend a bunch of time. I wanted to talk about yoga in this healing journey because I don't think I've really done a good job to this point in doing so, and just kind of talk about the experience that I've had. When I look at the journey of healing in conjunction with yoga, it is a parallel. It's a parallel as strong as any personal development, any therapy session, any book I've read, if not a greater experience, if not a greater kind of healing modality than the other ones, perhaps even combined. When I'm going to give you kind of a timeline here and explain to you a couple of different things, because whether you do yoga or even thinking about doing yoga or you hate it, I want to lay this out to give you an understanding about what I did that really, really changed my life forever. So the other day on my phone, I got one of those like time hop messages that shows you a really, really old photo of you. And so this really, really old photo of me is from 8 years ago after I had completed my very first 30-day Bikram hot yoga challenge. So it's 8 years ago. And it made me think about something, the journey to that moment. And so if I rewind and I go back a little bit, a couple of years, I had ordered some DVDs from this wrestler. I've mentioned this on the show before. Diamond Dallas Page. He had this company called Yoga for Regular Guys. And there was this video that went crazy viral on YouTube. And this was like before viral was even a thing, right? This video just started popping. It was everywhere. And it was this guy named Arthur who was a paratrooper who in a training mission, parachute had a failure of deploy and he hit the ground and he just massive amounts of surgeries, broken back, broke both his legs, ended up, fast forward a few years later, can't walk without canes. Can't walk without canes. Cannot, he's immobile. He's 50 pounds, if not more, overweight. The dude looks like he hasn't shaved in 5 years. Like, he's in it, right? He's in that darkness, right? Especially if you are not healthy physically, like, it's really easy to get in that darkness. And that actually happened to me, like, being as obese as I was, and I'm not gonna fucking sugarcoat it, I was very fat, like, I was 350 pounds, like, I was massively overweight. And I saw this video of Arthur, and it starts where he had sent Dallas a message, and he was like, "Hey, man, I need your help, blah, blah, blah." And Dallas is like, "Yeah, I'm in. I'll help you. If you do it, I will help you." And that's honestly like no bullshit. That's how I think about Think Unbroken and coaching and the people who reach out to me. I'm like, if you're going to do it, I will help you. If you're not going to do it, I'm not. Very simple. I mean, I've fired clients like I have because just there was no execution. And you have to be good. You have to be game for this. That's all I'm saying. And so I was game for it. I saw what Arthur did and I ordered the DVDs. So we're going to go back. I mean, these weren't even Blu-rays yet. We were talking about DVD. Blu-ray might have just started being a thing. And so these DVDs, this little box set shows up in this UPS envelope. It's kind of like mashed and busted and whatever. And I was like, all right, let's put one in. And I put one in and I had a little crappy yoga mat that I'd gotten at like Kmart or something when Kmart was still a thing. And I'm in my living room. My little brother lived with me at the time. Well, we lived together, I should say. And he was at work because I was so freaking embarrassed to do this. And my girlfriend at the time, she was at work. I was running my photography business. And so I was home. And I put this DVD in and I start doing it. And it was and this is actually probably 9 years ago, now that I think about it a little bit more. It might be 10, 9, somewhere on the cusp of that. And so I started doing this yoga and I'm freaking exhausted. I can't stand on one foot. I certainly can't touch my toes. I cannot get into any of the warrior poses. I mean, by halfway through, and I think this was a 30-minute, I think the first one was 30 minutes, like no bullshit, guys. I was exhausted 15 minutes in, just exhausted. And I probably had smoked a cigarette before, full transparency, because that's what I did then. And and so I pick myself up off the ground and I'm just like, oh my God. Like it to me, it felt so insurmountable. I was like, why am I bothering? Like, why am I even putting myself through the hell of this? Nobody cares. Nobody likes me anyway. What's the point? And that was the fixed mindset thinking. Because as you know, in the way that I believe and think about the world now, like I don't care what people think about me. I do things for myself. And that's always the challenge, right? How can you do things for you? That's the most important thing. And so the next day, again, everybody's gone. It's just me in the apartment. Pull out the mat, put the DVD in, and I go for it. And I get basically to the same place I was the day before because this workout had an integration of like a vinyasa push-up, which if you don't know what that is, basically I'll put it like this. You're in a plank position, you do a shoulder rotation down to the ground, keep your chest off the ground, you do a shoulder rotation back up, right? So it's kind of like a dive. You go pew, pew, sound effects. And so you do this dive, you come back up, and it was like a set of 10. And I think I did 5. I might have even done 5, like no bullshit. I might have done fucking 4. And I just felt defeated. I felt so defeated. And I was like, nope, all right, not gonna quit. Just tomorrow. But I did not do day 3. I just didn't. I felt embarrassed and ashamed. And you know what's really funny is there's like a post that I've seen go around the internet over the years. It says, laughing at a fat person at the gym is like laughing at something, right? Trying to make meaning of, not to judge people who are trying to better their life. And I was just judging myself so hard, so incredibly hard. I was beating myself up through the whole process. And I was just like, what is the point of this? This is stupid. This isn't helping me. And that night, as I was laying in bed, I was just thinking, like, man, I always just quit. I always just give up on myself. And I was like, I'm not going to give up on myself. Keep going. Just figure it out, man. Just go. And the next day, I did it again. Well, that just became the kind of habit of it. And at that point, I don't even think a week into it, I had told my girlfriend what I was doing. Um, I was just doing it. And then she saw like the DVDs on my work desk and she asked me about them. And I was like, guys, I cannot tell you how fucking embarrassed I was. Like, like that to me was this really defeating moment because it was like, and you have to remember, this was fucking 10 years ago in Indiana, and dudes did not do yoga, and they definitely didn't do it in Indiana. But I was too ashamed to go into the gym. There was a 0% chance I was walking into the gym. Not gonna happen. Literally not gonna happen. And that's part of the problem, right? I know that shame and that guilt and that embarrassment that people carry with them. And so I just kept doing yoga, doing yoga, doing yoga. I probably dropped like 25 pounds doing DDP yoga, which again at that point was actually called Yoga for Regular Guys, YRG. And then I pivoted and a new hot yoga studio had opened up. And so I went and I joined this hot yoga studio. I'm trying to find I screenshot the date that I joined and I cannot find it now because I was going to tell you the actual date, but it's freaking buried in here. So I joined hot yoga. I walk in and I've kind of, touched on this story once before. I walk in and I am freaking terrified. I'm sitting outside of my car. And as I'm sitting outside of my car, I'm just thinking to myself, like, why am I doing this? Why am I about to walk in this room? And just feeling like so much shame and guilt about it and being like, I don't want to do that. Like, this is not for me. This is for everybody else. And in that, I was like, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to watch the people go in at first. Right. And I'm at that point, I'm trying to find a reason to not go into the studio. Sorry, I'm trying to find this photo to share with you guys still. And so I'm trying to find a reason to not go. Hey, Unbroken Nation, we'll be right back to the show. But I wanted to let you know that you can grab a copy of my first book, Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma, for free. If you go to book.thinkunbroken.com, you can download the PDF ebook version of the book and get everything that I know about the baseline of healing trauma for free downloaded to your email right now. Just go to book.thinkunbroken.com to download your copy of Think Unbroken: Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma for a PDF for your phone. Again, that is book.thinkunbroken.com. Go in, and I'm watching all these fit people go in, and every single person that goes in is me trying to convince myself that it's okay that I don't go in. And then as I sat there, I was thinking about Arthur. I was thinking about this guy. And I was like, dude, to not go in here, like, this is nonsense. How dare you not follow through on your promise to yourself again? Again, how are you gonna again not follow through? You are the king of this. It's shameful, it's guilt, and like, guys, no bullshit, and you've heard me say this before. I've come to realize that sometimes the way that I need to talk to myself is not the way that other people need to talk to themselves. And so, with full transparency in that, I would caution you to recognize that maybe what I'm about to say is not gonna work for you. But as I sat there, I said to myself, don't fucking be a little bitch right now. All you've done is quit on yourself. All you've done is give up. And if they judge you, let them judge. And that's kind of where my head went. I said, if they judge me, fine, let them judge me. I'm going in this building right now. I'm walking in this door. And what was really interesting is, so when I get in, I go in the back, I'm sitting in the back row, I'm on my mat, I'm in the far left corner. It's a hot in there, and like, I'm sweaty already. I'm definitely the fattest person in the room by far. And I'm with all these fit, attractive people. And I was just like, fuck this. And I wanted to run for that door so badly. I cannot explain it to you, like the urge I felt to just get out. Cause I thought to myself, man, if I just get out, then everything's going to be okay. But again, this was my brain defaulting to just quit. Cause when you quit, you're safe. And when you quit, this is what you're used to. And when you're in the space of what you're used to, then you're safe. But, being safe and quitting doesn't really benefit you at all. And so I laid on that mat. The instructor came in. Her name was Heijin. And I was just like, all right, let's go for it. And no bullshit. The very first thing she said is just do what you need to do today. And I'd never heard anybody say that before. I'd never crossed my mind that I could just do that. And so I did. And I made it through that class. And at the end, a bunch of people came up to me, and because there's always kind of like that little bit of a conversation after class, and a whole bunch of people came up to me, and they're like, oh, are you new here? We haven't seen you, blah blah blah. And everyone was just hospitable and kind about it. And that was this really nice feeling. And so I just kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and kept going, much like in the same way that I did DDP. I just kept going and going and going. And so as I continued to go, I started losing weight, and I started feeling healthier. And as I was feeling healthier, I felt like I was more capable of being able to kind of step into being who I am. And over time, these challenges would pop up in the studio. And I thought to myself, oh, well, I'll do one of these challenges one day, right? That was always what I went to. One day, one day, one day. One day I'll do it. One day I'll show up. One day I'll love myself. One day I'll take care of myself. One day I'll do the thing that I said I was going to do. And so that one day actually did come, which was amazing. So that one day did come. Oh, here, I found the date, guys. I know I was still looking. It was on, I'll tell you exactly. It was on December 19th, 9 years ago. 9 years ago. That's crazy. So this challenge comes up. I decided to do the challenge, and it was 30 days, and I ended up doubling it. I did 63 days. And I learned an important lesson on day 63, coming back to what Hagen said day one. I wasn't listening and doing what my body needed. I had pushed too hard, too fast, because again, I was still, in those 2 months, I dropped another 20 pounds. Like, I basically lost 50 pounds over the course of like 5 months. And I was just blasting off weight. It was a really amazing experience to have. And so, um, day 63 comes, I end up really hurting my hamstring, like crippling bad. I couldn't go to yoga, I couldn't run, I couldn't walk, couldn't work out, nothing. And so a couple of weeks I had to recover. And over the years, I just kept going to yoga and going to yoga and going to yoga. Now, here's what's really interesting about that. As I got deeper into it, I discovered amazing online practitioners like my friend Cole, who I mentioned earlier, who I've spent time with as we've bumped into each other around the world. I've met, really amazing people who have had similar journeys in health and healing and using yoga as this tool to get healthy. And then I realized something really important when I was on the mat one day. I was in a class 6 years ago, and I was laying on the ground after the class, and I was in my body, like, for the like, really, truly in my body for the first time, where I could feel just the high level kind of lingering anxiety, where I could feel the joy, where I could feel the happiness, the sorrow, the sadness, all of it, right? And as I felt all of those things, I actually had tears just like well up in my eyes because it was the first time I'd ever felt my body. And so what I discovered in yoga and in this practice of this level of awareness was that it was the physical aspect of it that was beneficial to me in the journey, because, and I've said this before, I don't think that you can heal your mind without healing your body. It was that, but more so what it was the conscientiousness that had come to feel true, that I actually was me in that moment. And look, I went through that weird phase that I think a lot of people do, where I was just like, I do yoga all the time and blah, 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 blah. And I was, in time, you learn how to kinda, like, create a symbiosis of that and bring that into you, and it's just a part of who you are. But what I discovered more and more and more and more, and I've done yoga around the world in all these different environments, on all these different types of yogas, all these different types of meditations and integrative work and all the things. But on that mat, something really beautiful happens. You get to be with you for 45 minutes or an hour or 90 minutes, and when you're with you, you get to have clarity. It's a guided meditation that just happens to be physical. And so the more that I did it and the deeper that I got into it, the more I got to understand and know who I was. The more I got to get clarity about me, the more sense of, like, freedom of expressing myself in my truth, and the willingness to honor who I was would start to show up. And but also, here, I'm gonna tell you the dirty secret about yoga that nobody ever talks about. Some dark shit's gonna come up too. It ain't all fucking love and light. I don't care what anybody says. It ain't all love and light and namaste, bro. You're gonna have some hard motherfucking days on that mat, because when you are with you and your thoughts, you can't hide. You can't run from you, because you are where you are, and I would sit on that mat sometimes, and the shame spiral, the guilt, the embarrassment, the hurt, the experiences of all the traumatic past, the anger, the rage, like fucking massive rage would come up. And so, like, a lot of it was towards me too. Like, that's what's really interesting about it, right? It wasn't I'm raging against other people. Like, I was mad at me, which, and I should have been, because I was living a fucking bullshit life for a long time. But it, with that acknowledgement, the beauty in that was I started to find the space for grace and just go, well, wait a second. Maybe this is my life because I didn't have parents who loved me enough to teach me how to love myself. And then you start to learn more and more and more. And what was so wild about it was the more that I laid on that mat and the more introspective I got, the more I started to ask, like, who am I? What do I want? What are my values, my wants, my needs, my interests, my boundaries, my personal mission statement, right? Who is Michael? Like, what does it mean to be me?
And so what would start to happen is slowly every single day I'd get off that mat and I would journal. And in the beginning, the journaling was weird because it was uncomfortable to share truth that I'd never shared even on paper. But the freedom of self-expression and love that came along with yoga, like, helped me that, right? You there's, like, the tantric experience of it in wholeness and being one with the universe and one with oneself and discovering, like, this weird concept that I came across one day when I was pretty sure I was in Bali. I might have been in Thailand or Bali. It was right around that window where I was doing a yoga session and I was thinking about this idea that if we are shaped in the image of God, right, that per scriptures, then that makes us a God. And in being a God, you have the ability to create or to destroy. And just really having some discernment around the idea, like, I want to create, I want to build, I want to help, I want to change, I want to cultivate. And like, I know that's like super heady, but when you get in the silence of the mat, when you get in the silence of the practice of the movement of the non-judgment of the space where you allow yourself to be you, it's amazing, amazing, amazing what happens. And so this journey, even today, as I finish up a session on the mat, I sat in the presence of me. And that's the greatest thing that I've been able to use yoga for is just being able to be me, being able to use that tool, that thing that is so beautiful and so powerful and so potent and so just present. Feel your breath, feel your body. Feel your heart, your spirit, your soul, all of yourself come together for this small period of time with no distraction and find out who you are. And so I'll say this, like, I realize yoga is not for everybody. I've had some similar experiences, like on super long bike rides or really long runs or doing CrossFit or Muay Thai, but never at this depth. And I think about my journey to healing, and I'm going to tell you right now, in terms of physical practices, nothing's been better than yoga because it's just going to help you reassociate. It's going to help you reconnect your brain and your body. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess it depends on how you want to look at it. You're going to learn some shit. You are going to learn some shit. And in that, you're going to take that shit and make the world a better place. So if you haven't practiced, I encourage it. Go check out my friend called Chance. I mean, I'm not sponsored or anything by her. She's my homie and I love her. And she's helped me in my healing journey a ton. She's actually been on Think Unbroken. She's on an older episode. If you go on to thinkunbrokenpodcast.com and if you go look at that featured tab, I want to say she's like episode like 42 or something. So it was a couple years ago that her and I connected and did a show. But she's amazing. I love her practice. I love what she does. Again, check us out on YouTube at Think Unbroken. We're on all the platforms. If you're only listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, you can check us out on other places. And then, of course, if you ever want to reach out, I'm at Michael Unbroken on all the socials. And please do us a favor. If you found any value in this, if you've had any thoughts about anything about what we do, please take 30 seconds, leave us a review. It means the world. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. I'll see you. Thank you so much for listening to Think Unbroken. Please share this episode with someone who could use it and help us move forward in our mission of ending generational trauma in our lifetime. And if you would, please take 5 seconds to pop on iTunes or Spotify, hit that 5-star, leave a review, and you can also reach out to us on social at Michael Unbroken or at Think Unbroken. And of course, you can check out our YouTube channel at Think Unbroken. Thank you for being a part of Unbroken Nation, my friends. And until next time, be unbroken. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you.
Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.